few minutes, and one of you should go get him.
I'll go get him. I'm
Just saying.
I don't want to cry anymore.
Wait, I don't think he's
gonna stop.
Okay. I'm just saying, so he's gonna come and talk.
I'll just text him.
Okay. So hi guys. I'm really sniffly now. I mean, I have allergies and I've been sneezing all day, but then Dante also just made me cry. No, it's okay. So when I was thinking about writing my farewell speech or just what to say to you guys, I thought about how every passing board member kind of just talks about their Key Club story, and I was wondering, like, why is that the norm? And I realized that when I read about Key Club, when I talked about Key Club to a friend or to a prospective member, I also talk about how cool it is that we all have different stories, because Key Club is filled with hundreds. There's a construction worker up there. Sorry. Key Club is filled with hundreds of what?
Are you walking?
Yeah, he's walking, like, on the ledge.
Alright.
Oh, there's one. Anyway, so Key Club is filled with hundreds of thousands of members, and even though we all come together to serve and make our communities better places, we all have our own interests, and I don't know, when I go to LTC or go to different events, whenever I talk to people, I realize how different they are from me, but also how similar they are. I think it's pretty cool. So I guess with that, I will talk about my Key Club story. So as a freshman, I was kind of like Andy in that I was just kind of looking for a club to join because everyone was doing it, and I didn't really know what I really wanted to do. And Key Club is one of the biggest clubs in the school, so I was like, hey, like, why not? So as cliche as it is, I went to my first event was Breast Cancer Walk, and I went with a friend that I made in summer school. Well, did you guys hear that?
Yes.
I went with a friend I made in summer school, and at the event, I met a lot of people, like our past president, Jasmine, and is he still IP? Is he IP? Our IP president, Timmy. And these are people that I know, like, to this day, I can still talk to, and I know they'll have my back no matter what. Regardless of that, and how much they made me feel included into a club of people I didn't even know, I still was kind of deterred from the club for a few months because the friend I joined with, she didn't really have an interest in Key, and she didn't like the event as much as I did. And because of that, she didn't really want to go in anymore, and I kind of just was like, I don't really have anyone to go with, so I didn't. And it took me a few months to realize that that was a really stupid thing to think of, because as I mentioned, the people I didn't even know were making me feel more at home than people like I've known for years, and it wasn't really a reason just because I didn't have someone to just go to an event with to just not go. So in December, I started going to Key Club again, and I remember the first event I went to when I got back into the swing of things was Santa's Little Helper in Brooklyn, and since then I was between like my freshman and beginning of my junior year, I was like one of those people that signed up for an event as soon as a form came out, no matter what the event was, where it was, what time it was, kind of like Peter is now.
What?
But I also feel like even though I served lots of hours as an underclassman through my junior year, that kind of died down when I took on this position as a board member, which I think should be the opposite of what should happen. And I don't know, I'm sorry for that, but I also realized that throughout the year while I was beating myself up over not going to events as much as I could have, that it's really all about perspective, and this was something that was also highlighted when at LTC. So one of our speakers was talking about how, yeah, you might not be the most active member, or you might have joined for college credits, which I did not do, but that could have been you. But at the end of the day, you're still in it to serve, and you know, Key Club and caring is our way of life. So even if you can't actually go to all the events because you live far, just because you have things to do, it doesn't really mean that you're any less of a good Key Clubber. And you know, you're still, as long as you're embodying the values of Key Club as you go through your day-to-day life, that's what really matters. So he was talking about how he was in an airport and he was noticing how everyone was treating like a flight attendant badly because a flight was delayed, and even though he was also annoyed at the delay, he looked down and he realized he was wearing a Kiwanis shirt, and because of that, like he had to embody the values of Kiwanis, which are just to be caring and make someone's day and pretty much just be a good person. So I guess I'm kind of going on a rant just to say that if you're someone who can't go to a lot of events or be as active as you want to be, or as like you set the goal for yourself to be, it doesn't make you any less of a great key clubber, and you shouldn't think that. Because key clubbers are more, I don't know, it's more important for you to have good character and to actually be there for the people you love, or to make them feel included even if you don't know them. And yeah. So, going off of that, I don't know what I want to talk about first. So, I guess I'll kind of do something similar to what Andy did, but not list all of the events I went to. Hi, Ted! But talk more about the events that actually had a big impact on me. Because while I have enjoyed the events I've gone to, whether it be like cheering for someone in a race or helping wrap gifts for people over the holiday season. The events I really enjoyed, I realized, are the ones that allow me to actually connect with other people and like see the impact I'm making. Typically like through like a small group or like an individual like one-on-one contact kind of thing, because I don't know, like when you think about the work you do, it's sometimes hard to see like, is this dollar I'm donating to March of Dimes really gonna save a baby? It's hard, like even though you know that the organization is putting effort into actually make moves with that, it's like it's a lot more impactful when you can actually see what you're doing. So in my sophomore year, I went to the Met Council senior lunch, and basically at the event, there were all these seniors that lived in this house, and they didn't really, well, they all just lived there, and they didn't really have any access to social interaction besides like at these lunches. So even though we did serve them food, what was really important was to actually just talk to them and get to know about their lives and talk about their days and just like whatever's on their mind. And I saw this one guy who, he wasn't talking to the other seniors there, like everyone was kind of just like talking to each other, making friends. And there's this one guy kind of on the corner to himself, and I didn't really understand why. And I went to him, and then I realized that there's kind of a language barrier. And he's like a Chinese guy, and he just like started speaking to me in Shanghainese, and I was like, do I look Shanghainese? And I am Shanghainese. I just like didn't know if that was like a part I was looking or something else. But he just like really like weakly asked me if I spoke the language, even though like I'm really, really, really bad at speaking Shanghainese. I like spoke the few words that I could, and if you could see the smile on his face, like it was actually enough to make me feel like I actually was making a difference to the people I was serving. And that's like the most important thing to me. And he, at the end of the day, like he went from someone who was just sitting there kind of like slumped to someone who was really happy and like talking about his life and like how he ended up in the place and like his life as when he was younger. And all those things are things that are really important, because while like I can say that a lot of the experiences I have made that matter to me are the ones that involve me like getting to know my members and like hearing their stories, it's also really important to see like who you're actually volunteering for and like what you're actually doing. Because also when I first joined Key Club, I kind of associated volunteering with like pity. So I know this isn't true now, but when I first joined, it was kind of like the people I'm volunteering for. Oh my God, why is it happening? People I'm volunteering for are less fortunate than me, and like and a lot of the times they are, but they are at the end of the day still people, and a lot of the time they're just like you, and they just need like someone to laugh with them or someone to just cheer them on to make that last mile. And I don't know, it's just nice to see like who you're helping get through the day, whether it's just like something that will save you from like a life-threatening disease or just getting you through the next hour. Okay. So I also want to say that, as I mentioned before, I haven't really been as active this year as I wanted to be, and I felt like for a while that made me like less of a good vice president. But I still want to say that like even though I didn't really feel like I met all of your expectations, you guys have like far surpassed mine. Coming into the club every week and like going to events on the weekend and seeing how much you guys love what you're doing, if you're like raking leaves or handing out water, everything is just, I don't know, it makes me feel so good to have found a group of people that love and care so much for the people around them. Because especially in like this world now, you see so much hate everywhere. and it's like weird to like. It's not weird. It's just like there's such a high density of like. Oh my god, I'm gonna cry. There's a high density of good. I don't know, just like good vibes in the room, and I really like that. So, I feel like I could ramble on forever, but I do want to give Yingxiao a chance to speak. And though I will be miles and miles away in Michigan, I definitely do plan to come when I'm on break, or just like to pop in and talk to you guys about Key Club and like how it's changed, or like my journey when I joined Circle K. So instead, I will just step down and give. Oh my god, and pin Dante. So Dante, before I do this, I just want to tell you that like, even though. Even though like all we really do is say mean things to each other and make fun of each other, and I'll like knock your glasses off sometimes. You're like one of the people in the club that actually has like inspired me the most. And I see it every day, like when I feel kind of lazy and like I don't really feel like reminding a committee to like finish something that they said they were gonna finish by like a certain deadline. You kind of just do it without like. I don't really say anything. It just like kind of happens, and I don't know. Like, I noticed that like even though you work hard in your secretary job and you like get your MRFs in early and things like that, you're also really willing to help other board members and committee members and just members in general with anything that they need, and that's like a really strong thing to have going forward. So I also know that like new board members are supposed to be trained by their predecessors, but I also don't really feel like you need any training because. And like honestly, I feel like sometimes you've done a better job than I have like at my own job. And I don't know, I know you're gonna be a really good vice president. I know you're gonna inspire more and more members. I already see it every day with this club, and I know that next year they're gonna feel the same way. So if you want to come here, I'll pin you. I also don't have the VP pin for you. Because,
oh my gosh.
You know, Johnson never handed that over. So. Or should I Johnson past? I'm gonna just put it over here so I don't make a hole. See how there's like a hole?
Dante's done.
See how there's a hole already there?
Make sure to touch him a lot.
Dante, give it.
I'm so